Excuse me, musicians in the rear.
I have those two. Yeah.
Okay, we're about to begin services for Alan Cohen, so we invite you to please silence your phones and other electronic devices, and please take a seat. And our service will continue with taps from Andrew, Alan's son Andrew. Nathan, sorry. Nathan, if you'll stay with us here for just a moment, and if everyone wearing the Kriya ribbon will please rise as you're able. We're about to tear the Kriya ribbon. It's a black ribbon, and it's the tearing or rending of the ribbon is symbolic that we're also torn on the inside. It also serves as an indication to others in the Jewish community who will recognize the symbol to know to offer their condolences when they see it. If you'll repeat after me for everybody who is wearing the ribbon. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Dayan ha'emet, which means, we praise you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, judge of truth. And together we say, Amen. You can just grab it at the bottom where it's cut already a little and give it a little tear upwards. You may be seated. Thank you. We remember Alan. Adonai ma'adam v'ateda'ehu. Adonai, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are like a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to turn to dust, saying, "Return, O mortal creatures." Would that we were wise, that we understood where we are going, for when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted, behold the upright. They shall have peace. Death has taken your beloved Alan, and we grieve with you now in a darkened world. In our silence, there is lamentation. In our tears, loneliness. Lost in our sorrow, may we find the presence of loving family and friends. Hear us, O God, and be with us. For Alan's love that united you in life and which death cannot sever, for his companionship that you shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory, for the gifts of his heart and mind that brought joy and happiness and is now your precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. We turn now to tradition's voice, which brings a message of faith, hope, and light in this dark hour. Adonai ro'i lo echsar, God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. From Ecclesiastes, we read that for everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. In his sorrow, Job cries out, Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai mevorach. God has given, God has taken away. Blessed be the name of God. An ancient people, we are well acquainted with grief and the valley of shadows. Death and sorrow are not strangers to us. Yet the centuries have taught us that a good name endures beyond the grave, and that there is strength in our faith. So with Job we say, Adonai Natan, God you have given. He gave us Alan. And he will not be forgotten for all that was good and enduring in his life. And so we offer the deepest thanks of our hearts. Adonai Lakach, God you have taken away. We pray for the strength to transform broken hearts into an altar of trust, before which we acknowledge your sovereignty and your love, as we now say, Yehi Shem Adonai mevorach, blessed be the name of God now and forever. Amen. Amen. We take a moment for silent prayer, reflection, and meditation. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer. Dear Binky, family, friends, there is so much to say about a good man who lived a long and meaningful life, Alan. This afternoon we will touch upon some of the high points of Alan's life. Hopefully, those who did not know Alan as well will get a taste of who he was and all he aspired to be, as some family and I share some more meaningful memories that they've shared with me and will share with you. Alan was born December 25th, 1933 in Louisville, Kentucky, the younger of two children of Benjamin and Dora Cohen. Alan grew up in Louisville with his older brother Bob of blessed memory. Alan served our country with distinction and was a proud veteran. He worked to support his family as a manufacturer's rep and an insurance salesman. And growing up, Alan was also a member of SAO and always remembered the Sammy's secret handshake. Alan met his beloved Binky at a synagogue in Atlanta in 1964. He spotted her in the congregation and sat down near where Binky and her friend had been seated before services started. Binky, you told me that Alan caught up with you after services and asked if he could give you a call. And she told me that he was so young and very handsome. With Binky, Alan got an instant family with Nathan and Sally, and of course, he embraced them and loved them as his own, and later they added Julie to the family. And Alan and Binky became proud grandparents to 4 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. He told me Alan traveled a lot for work, so he thought it would be nice for Binky and family to move the whole family back to Charleston, where Binky would be closer to family. They married in July of 1965 with Rabbi Bert Podol officiating, and officially made Charleston their home in 1966. Alan loved sports, including football, basketball, baseball, and tennis. He played tennis in a league here in Charleston, often with his older brother, Bob of blessed memory. Binky told me Alan loved his mother very much, and he loved your parents, his in-laws. After Hugo, Binky's father, moved in with Alan and Binky while his own home was being repaired, and Alan was happy to have him around and continued to love it whenever Joe spent time with them. The staff at the Veterans Victory House loved Alan. Binky told me that when we first sat down to talk, and then they told me again this morning that they said he could get away with just about anything at the Veterans Victory House, and they loved him even more. The chaplain, Reverend Cooper, at the Veterans Victory House home was especially kind to Alan. And while Alan wasn't always effusive about his feelings, he did write one beautiful poem about Binky. Julie, you told me your dad was always there for you. You remember doing things together like tennis and College of Charleston games. And he took you to the pool. Both Alan and Binky were very involved with friends and all kinds of activities at KKBE. More than anything, he loved his family and he did his best to take good care of them. He called Binky my Binky and Julie my Julie, he told me. Binky took care of Alan at home for a long time, and when Alan had to move to the Veterans Victory House, Binky and Julie visited regularly. Sometimes that meant, especially in somewhat more recent days, they had to speak to him from outside of his room while he was inside through the open window, especially during the pandemic, but they kept up the visits as long as they were allowed. And Binky described to me so beautifully how wonderful it was when they were finally allowed to visit in person, as it were, a little more, and finally allowed to hug. Alan retained his strong will to live for a long time. Even after bypass surgery, he remained competitive and engaged. He loved to bet on the games. Julie, you recalled how he was there for you through your bat mitzvah, your confirmation, and you said that everything that was important to you was therefore important to him. Now we're going to have family share some even more personal memories. First, it's my honor to invite Andrew Magdovich, one of Alan's grandchildren, to share some of his thoughts and memories.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. Excuse me. It's always been said that when someone passes away, the amount of people and the folks that show up to the funeral, you can't ever repay that because Alan, my poppy, has passed away. So thank everybody for coming today, because that's, it means a lot to us. Poppy, for as long as I can remember, I rehearsed this like 4 times this morning, but we'll go. For as long as I can remember, Charleston, South Carolina has always meant family and fun. Since birth, my mother has brought me, and then my sister, back to her home city, her roots, and her family. Growing up, getting to take the 4 to 5 day trips to Charleston usually meant visits to great-granddaddy Stuhr, Reed Brothers, dinners at Athens and Snob, Mom pointing out, hey, that's where we used to hang out in high school, and plenty of beach time. As young kids, my sister Dina, cousins Abby and Leah, and I would refer to Alan as simply Granddaddy, until one day, I was in roughly the 2nd grade, I called Mimi and Granddaddy up to ask Granddaddy if we could change his name. It was just too simple. One of my best friends back in Memphis had a grandfather that they called Poppy. I asked Alan if it would be okay to change his name from Granddaddy to Poppy, because the only other Poppy was in Memphis and no one in Charleston would ever know. He said yes, and I guess you could say from that moment forward, Poppy was born. Memories of my Poppy are all happy and loving. My sister and I remember him singing or telling us bedtime stories as kids, and always with a smile on his face. Even visiting him at the assisted support facility, it was so great to just be in his presence. Poppy was always laughing, smiling, joking. We would laugh after dinner. I remember Mimi would always say, don't make him throw up, don't make him throw up. It really was constant laughter being around. Always jokes and little sayings. And one of my favorite, and if you want to know the real saying, we'll talk about it at lunch, was if any reference to a very bad or downtrodden or broken down looking restaurant, Poppy would always say, you better watch out, you'll eat here or you'll get sick in the alley. That was for you, Mimi. One of the longest standing inside jokes was in reference to the old HBO hit series Tales from the Crypt. Not sure why, but my parents let me watch Tales from the Crypt episodes as a young kid. And one trip while in Charleston, I'm watching, and Poppy comes in the room and immediately starts laughing, asking, who is that guy on the TV, to the reference to the little skeleton creature that narrated the show. From there forward, any time we'd talk or see each other, it was an immediate reference to the crypt. Poppy would tell me how he saw the crypt playing tennis at the grocery store, getting ice cream, walking down the side of the road, all over the town. But each time the crypt was spotted, his bandages were falling off his body, and Poppy had to help him with his bandages. Always had a huge laugh about that. Dean and I, my sister, we still talk about that to this day. Poppy and I both love sports. Poppy a big Kentucky and Louisville fan, me a big Memphis and IU fan, Indiana. When John Calipari was the head basketball coach at the University of Memphis, I would always call and tell Poppy, ha ha ha, we got the best coach, we're going to beat everybody. Then when he left us for Kentucky, he returned that same